It's July 9th, and I would like to call our meeting of the Salina City Commission to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Jennings.
Here.
Commissioner Angel.
Here.
Commissioner Crawford.
Here.
Commissioner Householder.
Here. Commissioner
Shirley.
Here.
Would you please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This is the time in our meeting where we'd like to hear from any citizens that are present. If you have any issues you'd like to bring before the commission that are not part of today's agenda, we'd ask that you come forward now and give your name and address, and feel free to comment to the commission. Seeing none today, we do not have any awards and proclamations, nor do we have public hearings items scheduled for a certain time. We move to the consent agenda.
Item 6.1, approve the minutes of June 29, 2012. Item 6.2, approve the minutes of July 2nd, 2012. Item 6.3, authorize the replacement of a 6,000-gallon fiberglass tank at pump station number 13 for wastewater collection from Shabam Industries in the amount of $11,100. Item 6.4, approve the purchase of 2 wastewater pumps for wastewater collection from Environmental and Process Systems in the amount of $19,968. Item 6.5, rescind agreement 213-10 from Kansas Department of Transportation for the Connecting Link Resurfacing Project. Item 6.6, approve the purchase of Firehouse Web software in the amount of $15,145. Item 6.7, resolution number 126915, appointing members to the Saline County Community Corrections Advisory Board.
Are there any issues on this consent agenda that a commissioner has question on or would like pulled? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I move we approve consent agenda.
Second.
Motion to approve the consent agenda is read. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Today we have no development business, so we move into administration.
Item 8.1, resolution number 126916, authorizing agreement 87-12 with the Kansas Department of Transportation regarding K-143 North 9th Street Bridge replacement.
Mr. Stack.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. This project started a few years ago with KDOT identifying bridge that needed to replace along 9th Street. What am I doing? Let's go back. Okay. And they have done some analysis on the bridge to see that the channel downstream of the bridge is constricted by a 10-by-10 box culvert on 5th Street. And a few years ago, I guess about a year ago, we had a study session on that box that talked about taking it out or removing it or replacing it. The road did not take a lot of traffic, and the residents that we polled decided that it didn't have any real large feedback that said, yeah, we need this. This is, dire straits. Need this type of a bridge culvert here and a road to go through here. So KDOT was very amenable to the removing it and restoring the channel and closing the road and doing the necessary repairs to the road to make it a dead end, basically, on both ends. So as part of this project, that would help the overall drainage through here with the sizes of the box that they're replacing. Basically, in turn, helps the city as well to get rid of an old, very old structure. The structure on 5th Street was built in 1919 with the old 81 highway, actually. It's really interesting. That's the old route for it. Salina County had closed a bridge just north of there along that same route, and one of those old truss structures that you've seen in the paper, same type of structure, had to be closed as well. So that route is no longer much of a route to be used anymore, and so we would, I guess, entertain questions with as far as this. Basically, KDOT pays for the whole thing, so we just participate in the design and approval process. But so far, we've seen plans; everything looks pretty good. So I'd entertain questions.
Can you tell us just a little bit about that the water line replacement that you have noted there?
Yeah, that's a deal. Is Martha here? Yeah, that's frustrating because it's water and a sewer line both in the path of the box culvert that needs replaced. So I'm not sure how big they are. So Martha, do you want to expand on that? Would you?
Okay,
sizes
but those are
large.
those are the only obstacles in the area, and the only
Pretty much.
thing that's a city-side scope.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Typically, in the public right of way, there are other utilities out there, but and they're stuck repairing or moving or moving their stuff as necessary. But in this case, it's our stuff, and it does need to be moved. And there aren't any real. I mean, $200,000 is an estimate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it could be less. We have to get into it a little further, but that's just there is a shock value with that going, oh man, that's a lot of money.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Any other questions of staff? Thank you, Mr. Stack. Do we have anybody from the public that would like to talk on this matter? Seeing none, I bring it back to the commission for action.
Mayor, I move we adopt Resolution 12-6916, authorizing the mayor to sign the attached agreement and authorizing the Secretary of Transportation with KDOT to undertake and complete the project as per the agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 12-6916. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Item 8.2, general obligation bonds and notes. Item 8.2A, receive report on bids received. Sub-item 8.2B, second reading ordinance number 10642, authorizing the issuance and delivery of Series 2012-A. Sub-item 8.2C, second reading ordinance number 10644, authorizing the issuance and delivery of Series 2012-B. Sub-item 8.2D, resolution number 126917, prescribing the form and details and authorizing Series 2012-A. Sub-item 8.2E, resolution number 126918, prescribing the form and details and authorizing Series 2012-B. Sub-item 8.2F, resolution number 126919, authorizing, directing the sale and delivery of temporary notes Series 2012-1.
Mr. Franz, a lot of material here to cover. It's a small tree.
And I will do it quickly. Essentially, what you have before you is 5 pieces of legislation that need to be enacted to provide financing for a number of city projects. These include the improvements to the Magnolia Commons addition, which is where Menards is now constructed. There's a refinancing component to refinance a couple of outstanding issues, and then the temporary note provides funding for the Magnolia Road improvements. We did open bids earlier today, or receive bids, I guess, more appropriately. On the temporary notes, we received 4 bids. The low bidder was Country Club Bank at an interest rate of 0.607447%. That's 0.6%. The bids on the Series 2012A bonds being used to finance Magnolia Commons development. The low bid was, we received 5 separate bids on that. The low bid being 1.921919% from UMB Bank. And then on the refunding issue, we received 6 bids. Low bid from that was also from UMB Bank, and the rate for that was 0.965319%, or just a little bit under 1%. As a result of that bid level, the issue has been resized to match the bonds, what's needed to retire the bonds outstanding. It is now set at $3,785,000 as opposed to the $3,840,000 as first noted in your packet. The net present value savings has increased also from the $193,052.14 noted in your packet to $235,699.66. I think we had a pretty good outcome today on that, on all of these items. I would stand for questions. We do have representatives here from George K. Baum who help us market these bonds, and also from Gilmore and Bell who give us our legal opinions and hopefully keep us out of trouble in the future with these processes, which are, every year it seems like there's something new that's a little bit more complex to consider. But as David Arterberry and Randy Irie are the two reps. I don't know if they want to say anything in particular or not. No? Okay. So I would attempt to answer any questions you might have.
And basically, this is more of a procedural question, but on page 2, we've got actions A through E, and those are each sequential action that
Yes,
need to be
5
taken.
separate actions, 5 motions, 5 seconds, 5 votes,
Yep.
I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I hear correctly, Resolution 126918 is the only one we need to change the principal amount.
It would be Resolution 126918 and also Ordinance Number 1210-644.
Oh,
It's
that's the
that
same
bond
one,
issue,
yeah.
yes.
And that came in at $3,785,000.
Yes.
Any questions of staff? Thank you, sir. Do we have anybody here from the public that would like to speak on this? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission for further discussion and action.
Mayor, I move we pass on second reading ordinance 12-10642, authorizing the issuance and delivery of $2,375,600 principal amount of general obligation internal improvement bonds, Series 2012A.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass on second reading ordinance number 12-10642, authorizing the issuance and delivery of $2,375,600 principal amount of general obligation internal improvement bonds, Series 2012A. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, that's a second reading, excuse me. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Angel?
Aye.
Commissioner Crawford?
Aye.
Commissioner Householder?
Aye.
Commissioner Shirley?
Aye.
Mayor Jennings?
Aye.
Mayor, I move we pass on second reading ordinance 12-10644, authorizing the issuance and delivery of $3,785,000 principal amount of general obligation internal improvement refunding bonds, Series 2012B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass on second reading ordinance number 12-10644, authorizing the issuance and delivery of $3,785,000 principal amount of general obligation internal improvement refunding bonds, Series 2012B. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Angel?
Aye.
Commissioner Crawford?
Aye.
Commissioner Householder?
Aye.
Commissioner Shirley?
Aye.
Mayor Jennings?
Aye.
I move we pass resolution number 12-6917, prescribing the form and details of and authorizing the delivery of $2,375,000 principal amount of general obligation internal improvement bonds, series 2012-A.
Second.
Motion and a second to pass resolution number 12-6917, prescribing the form and details of and authorizing the delivery of $2,375,000 principal amount of general obligation internal improvement bonds, series 2012A. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Mayor, move we pass Resolution 12-6918, prescribing the form and details of and authorizing the delivery of $3,785,000 principal amount of general obligation internal improvement refunding bonds, Series 2012B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass resolution number 12-6918, prescribing the form and details of and authorizing the delivery of $3,785,000 principal amount of general obligation internal improvement refunding bonds, series 2012-B. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
I move we approve and pass resolution number 12-6919, authorizing and directing the sale and delivery of $1,485,000 principal amount of general obligation temporary notes.
Second.
Motion and a second to pass resolution 12-6919, authorizing and directing the sale and delivery of $1,485,000 principal amount of general obligation temporary notes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Item 8.3, second reading ordinance number 10,646, vacating 36 feet and 30 feet of platted restricted access on Magnolia Road along the north side of Lot 1, Block 1 in the Premier Edition to allow 2 curb cuts on Magnolia Road west of Virginia Drive.
Mayor, I move the City Commission recess into closed session for the purpose of deliberating in its quasi-judicial role in relation to the pending application, and reconvene the open meeting in this room in 15 minutes or 25 minutes to 5.
Second.
If I may, Mayor, one quick point. It might be helpful just to be sure that if there is anyone here today to speak to the matter, to give them that opportunity before we go into the closed session.
Can we just table the motion?
Certainly.
Okay. We'll table the motion
Okay.
and open it up to the public. This is a second reading of this ordinance before us. Do we have anybody from the public that would like to speak on this matter before we move into executive session? Thank you. And seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commission. We have a motion and a second to move into executive session to discuss with legal counsel this matter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We are hereby in executive session. Do we expect any action?
I anticipate. So one quick clarification I might make, Mayor. We're in that unique circumstance where we do need to make that distinction between what is referred to in the statute as a closed session as opposed to an executive session that is available to you in the unique circumstance when you're dealing with a quasi-judicial matter such as this application.
Yep. Thank you. We are now in closed session. Just a moment.
I'm sorry.
We're back into general session. Is there another motion at this point in time?
I move we adjourn for an extended time for discussion on the quasi-judicial project that we were discussing earlier until approximately 10 after 5.
Okay. We have
Second.
a motion and a second now to extend our closed session for quasi-judicial input from the attorney until 5:10 p.m. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We are back into closed session.
Virginia, West Virginia, and Kentucky.
Moving one step closer.
We're back into open session.
Mayor, I move that we extend for another 15 minutes to talk with the city attorney about a quasi-judicial proceeding
And return at.
and return at 5:30.
Second.
A motion and a second to move back into closed session for 15 minutes until 5:30. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? We're back into closed session.
Design Medicaid, how to find a way to make this work in some way for Texas.
We've been talking about the Medicaid expansion, but the other part of this is the health.
We're now back in general session. And I'd entertain a motion.
I move we adjourn for at least until 6 o'clock for further discussion of the quasi-judicial issue.
Second.
Motion and a second to continue our closed session on this quasi-judicial consideration and reconvene at 6 p.m. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? We're now back in closed session.
Texas didn't mobilize to get a health insurance exchange in place. There are a lot of theories that even if Texas decided it wanted to run its own
to effect, it said that it found that many voters in the state.
To general session. This time I'll open this matter up for further discussion from commission. We've already had an opportunity for public comment.
Mayor, I want to point out, and I didn't last week, and probably should have just for public knowledge. I should mention that the applicant, Jeff Mays, was the treasurer of my commission candidate race. But I'd also point out that we disagree on probably 60% of the issues we discussed. But just for the public knowledge, they should know that there was a relationship with us prior to this issue coming up.
Thank you.
Mayor, do you want the motion now and discussion subsequent?
That would be fine if you have a motion to make, you bet.
Mayor, I move that the commission direct staff to develop an ordinance that articulates the findings of fact and conclusions discussed in closed session, develop conditions preceding and conditions subsequent that could result in removal of a curb cut that is tentatively approved in Ordinance 12-10646. This would probably most likely result in amending this ordinance and require a new first reading of Ordinance 12-10646 because these are pretty significant changes to what was previously discussed. I would ask that this be put on the agenda for first reading of the amended ordinance with the changes staff comes up with on July 16th, 2012.
Second.
Does the clerk have a motion there? Do you need any further clarification?
Just wanted to pass down our notes.
Supply the written motion.
I'll get it to you.
Okay. Okay. So make sure that I clarify also. We have a motion that there you go. We have a motion and a second that instructs staff to further articulate discussions from closed sessions, and because those discussions could significantly change what was presented by the applicant, then would be an agenda for a new first reading to be amended on July 16th. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there further discussion on this?
Well, I think probably that motion is as clear as mud. So the basic idea, at least for me, the reason that I'm in favor of making this exception to the restricted access is specifically based on the type of traffic that's going to be at the location. So my intent would be to be sure we have a condition preceding and condition subsequent to ensure that that curb cut is only allowed for this specific use and development.
Questions or
Thoughts?
further discussion?
So to be just to be clear, we're basically saying we want to make sure that this particular curb cut that's been asked for is basically attached to this project and this project only. If, for instance, if this project didn't go through in another establishment, that would need to be run up again. But because of the type of traffic, that's what we're okay.
That's where I'm coming from.
Okay.
And a staff, Greg, did you?
Well, Mayor and Commissioners, I was just going to briefly mention, as I understand the situation, that as we discussed the proposed findings and conclusions, that there was recognition that this was project and proposal specific, and that that restricted access is in place. Approval of an ordinance and publication of that ordinance would remove the restricted access to the extent that had been requested. And that it's my understanding that while you believe that is appropriate, project specifically, then we want to try to put into place a means by which, yes, the project as presented would be able to go forward.
Correct.
But if for some reason it would not, then that restricted access would remain intact.
Correct.
So that's where the condition precedent came in, and really the way we need to manage that condition precedent is to be sure, frankly, that the ordinance is not put into effect until that condition precedent is met. I then understood there was also some recognition that, assuming that that all occurred, the project is developed as represented, that if there is a change in use, that the Commission is likewise concerned that it may not be appropriate for that access point to remain open in terms of the driveway that would be constructed there, and that it would be subject to closure in the event of certain change in circumstances or change in use.
Right. So a future commission would at least have that option.
Right. And that I understand the charge to staff to be to develop the language that would put that into effect.
And the vote that happened on first reading would end up getting redone, essentially. It'll be a new first reading vote next week.
Right. As I understood the direction, we would place the matter for consideration as modified, as amended, if you will. But given the significance of the modifications, that it is my opinion that warrants a first reading again.
Okay.
And that's also relevant because in order to meet or in order to have the mechanism by which the condition precedent can be met before the ordinance goes into effect, my thinking right now is that we would want to actually defer that second reading until the condition precedent is met.
Okay. And my vote last week against this project was just that I felt with our planning staff design and our comprehensive planning willingness on the part of the owner that was not present. If it was, there probably could have been an arrangement to where a lot of these concerns would have went away, but that wasn't present on the part of the owner because the contract's already been drawn up on the land. But a vote tonight is really a vote procedurally for what we've outlined. So an affirmative vote by a commissioner tonight doesn't affirm the first reading, the plan laid out. It merely affirms procedurally what we're going to do in the instructions given to staff and taking this back to first ordinance next week.
That is correct.
Okay. Further discussion?
No. Good, Kay?
I'm fine.
Okay. We have the motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. I believe I'd take one final motion.
Do we have an executive?
Staff would appreciate the opportunity to meet with you in executive session as well on attorney-client privilege matters. We will talk as fast as we possibly can.
Literally?
And
Literally.
how long do you suggest we be in executive session?
15 minutes would be appreciated.
Okay. Okay, so it would be move to recess into executive session for 15 minutes to discuss the legal counsel matters subject to attorney-client privilege for the reason that public discussion of those matters would waive the privilege and adversely affect the city's interest in the matter, and reconvene at 6:35 or 6:40 p.m.
Second?
Motion and a second to move into executive session until 6:40 p.m. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? We're now in executive session. Do you expect any action?
We do not.
Thank you.
Open about their status.